On this week's episode of Just a Walk, thanks, we preview Pesto and the Genius, the latest two English digital purchases to join our stables, one with Gavin Bedgood, one with Kieran Maher. A bit of a recap from the Seymour Swingers Convention last weekend. There's a nice article in The Straight about Butch, our man, and his son, Will Bourne. We cover off that. We'll talk about Sharla, who's got two runners in the John Monash on Saturday at Caulfield. Our usual, just keeping an eye on the US presidential race, Kerguelen, and we chat about the Caulfield track. Where's it at? Enjoy the show. G'day and welcome to Just a Walk, thanks, episode 9, a Bloodstock focused podcast with a bit of punting and a bit of narrative. This week's edition is a Mick Gannon-less edition. Hasn't surfaced, hasn't been heard from since his second sleepover with Mitchy Beer down the Gong. So maybe they flared up and went wide outside of the sort of Italian option, and I don't know. But we thoughts and prayers with Mick and Mitch. This week's edition has John O'Reilly, the racing manager at Melback Bloodstock, Rob Scurry, the horse whisperer, and our man, Butch Bourne. Butch, how are ya?
Good, Dicko. Fresh from a long weekend.
Now, let's recap that off the bat. We had the Seymour Swingers Party, the annual last Saturday. Actually, Gatto was on his way to that. Hasn't really been heard from since then either. That's got me worried. How was it, mate? How'd you perform, obviously, and how have you pulled up since?
Okay, so we can do an accommodation review on the Royal Mail Hotel at Dunkeld, which was extremely good. But had dinner on the Saturday night. They've got a good restaurant there. I still can't. I ordered it and I ate it, but I still can't come to terms with Wagyu as a piece of meat. I mean, I think I'm done. Actually, I had expectations because it was a very good restaurant, by the way. But do you get it? I just don't get Wagyu.
I'm presuming Rob's going to be a big fan, just being the Japanese flair.
Yeah, look, it's a bit fatty for me. I don't know. Never been a huge thing. Bit of a con. I'm kind of half with you there, Butch.
Yeah, no, I've given it a fair workout over the years, and I
don't doubt that.
Look at me.
Couldn't say the same thing about your exercise bike.
Wait till you get to my age. It's going to be good. I hope I'm around to see it anyway. So it was anyone that hasn't been to that part of the world, up to the Grampians, they have some very good hiking. I didn't participate. Still post-surgery on that one. So,
does the missus say stuff like, how long are you going to play this card for? Stuff like that?
It's been mentioned once or twice. How long are you going to milk this for? But I managed, Joe and I managed to hop in the rocket, and we drove the 20 minutes and found the pub tab in Hamilton, and got there in time to back a couple of winners and put a few more bets on for later in the day, which didn't quite pan out for us. But anyway, no, it's a good part of the world, and I highly recommend the Royal Mail Hotel. But on the Sunday morning, I went to the old post office bakery, and I've never had a croissant in my life that tasted like theirs. It was incredible. So I'm completely off Wagyu, and the next time I eat a croissant, it'll be I'll have to drive to Dunkeld to get it.
Okay.
Good wine country there. We've got Mount Langy, Best, Great Western, some of the best Victorian wines.
Yeah, we kicked off with a Pinot on Saturday night, Rob, and rolled into the Henschke Grenache.
Oof.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it didn't complement the Wagyu. I don't. Yeah, it. I won't mention the Wagyu again.
Yeah,
I reckon you might.
I can't tell you how disappointed I am with Wagyu. Anyway, Anyway,
A busy day for us yesterday, John. We picked up two tried horses off the English Digital. We picked up um, an older horse, but we still, I believe, a lot of upside in Pesto from the Hawks camp, who now heads to Gavin Bedgegood, John.
Yep, he was picked up today from New South Wales, make his way to Victoria to Gav. Northern Hemisphere 8-year-old, so he's still got a bit of time left up his sleeve to race. And if you go through his form, he's been racing pretty much exclusively in benchmark 84s or higher, and a lot of Group 3, Group 2s listed races, and he's now at a rating of 77. So very easy to place for Gav. Obviously, we know the prize money is very strong on a Saturday in Victoria. We've seen it with a similar horse, Windstorm, who very similar age. He's had 4 starts, I believe, for us. We paid 50,000 for him. He's returned 61 already without winning a race yet. So you don't need long when you got these Saturday horses to recoup your money and more. So yeah, certainly if you want to be racing a horse on a Saturday in Victoria, great opportunity.
And we also picked up for 65,000 the Genius, who is going to be trained by Kieran Ma, John.
Yep, bit of a one for Rob here. So you think, but younger, he's got a bit more age on his side. He's 4, about to turn 5, as I said, by. So you think he's won 3 from 13 starts, and yeah, he's a promising young stayer. Certainly going to be definitely at Wednesday Metro level, and we anticipate he should be racing on Saturdays in Victoria as well. Very attractive racing as well. He, off the top of my head, I think is a 70 rater. So again, very easy to place. He's got good form around the likes of Berkshire Breeze, who obviously has been impressive once again. And goes to Kieran Ma, who can train a stayer.
So what's your record with the Northern Hemisphere bred buying those horses? Oh, Jack or Jono?
You're on mute there, Jack. Well, what have we had? Keats.
How did that go?
Yeah,
It's won 500,000 or so, hasn't he, John? Paid 25 for him.
I think what I'm trying to say is this older horses, it's about desire a little bit, and you know I think Veggie's got something about him. The Cranbourne setup's got something about it to get an old city horse back into doing his best, trying hard, and that's what we're hoping to do with Pesto, I'm guessing, because he has lots of bit of form in Sydney. He sits through. He's a big, strong lump of the thing. Can get a little bit hot and sweaty. So I think there is upside there, and if he can just get his mental right, then there's so many weak staying races.
I think also like we're moving from being like living at Rose Hill to he'll be trained out of a paddock with Gavin at Cranbourne. So that change of environment is, I think, a big part of the success we have with a horse like Keats. And so we just replicate the same model, and be amazing to get a similar result. But just to get half that result would be a really profitable and fun ride for us and the owners.
Even Pesto at the start of this preparation, over 1,500 benchmark 100 at Rose Hill. He's finished 5th, been beaten 2.4 lengths. In front of him, Waterford, a bit of a non-winner, but always pretty consistent in good races. I Know a Star.
Good horse.
Good horse, one race, 2 starts after that, and is placed in 3 listed races since. So I think he's still got race in the old boy.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, as I said, I think that if he does what Keith does, he still loves his work, then he's gonna make money. He seems like a really good bet. If he doesn't want to try anymore, then you haven't lost that much. If he doesn't win,
he might actually prefer the jockey change too, because he probably has never had a female riding on race day, would he?
I don't think it'll like it'd probably be very unlikely. Um, just check that now for you, Butch.
Doesn't look like it. No. At first.
No. Yeah, this prep he had Zach Lloyd, Jay Lloyd, John McNeil, and Jay Ford. Previous prep was Zach and Jai, and yeah,
Probably if you, Jack, if you expanded your research there to see if John Hawkes has ever put a female jockey on.
I have to do that another time. Back to the horses, Butch. Thoughts on these two purchases? This is almost the first time you've heard of them,
Yeah.
as us purchasing them. What do you think?
Well, I think pesto definitely. I mean, it's been an age-old recipe for success to get a horse out of a city environment to a country environment. So you can see him getting a new lease of life, and his form suggests that he's not done. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his preference is for track conditions, but the way he gets to race in Melbourne, and if you were chasing mud, you go to Sandown. If you want good tracks, you can go elsewhere because it just doesn't get too wet at some of those other places, does it?
He kind of handles everything, but he's probably slightly prefers it a bit firmer. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd agree.
yeah, that's fine. By the time he gets his batteries recharged in the interim, uh, he'll be ready to go. There won't be an issue with the tracks there. But and the other horse is lightly raced, so he's probably the other end of the scale. Maybe the ownership group was, I think they were,
Big boys.
yeah, Bray and the boys. So, if they say no to a Melbourne Cup, then yeah, they probably, there's probably juice in the tank with him as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I think if like the genius was to maintain the benchmarks, the ratings he was running on our stuff this prep, he's going to make a heap of money. And if Kieran's team's able to improve him slightly off that rating, that he's like the ratings he's running on our stuff versus what the Racing Australia rating is, it's going to be a very, very fun ride. I think this horse has genuine upside and a heap of racing left in him.
you only have to look at when he raced at Sandown 3 starts back in the end of May, finished fourth, beaten 1.4 lengths in a benchmark 70 over 2,400. He beat home a horse, Marshall Eagle, who came out yesterday and won impressively, I think at Sandown again yesterday. So, they started the same price on that day. So, he's definitely got Wednesday races in his grasp. And I think if Kieran can improve him at all, he's definitely Saturday class.
Yeah, confident with him. Confident with both. Butch.
Will Pesto go to Caroline Price? Sorry, Jack.
Both horses will be like brought to the relevant stables, which will both be Cranbourne actually, and assessed when they arrive. Where they're at. They might have a day or two under saddle for each Gav and Kieran to assess what they think of the horse and where it's at, and blah blah blah. And then from there, plans will be made. Obviously, Caroline Price and the pre-training that she provides has been really good for us. And if that's what if Gavin thinks that's what Pesto needs, that's what Pesto will do.
Yeah. Just if you ever get a horse come into the stable from another stable, first it's almost like taking your car in and putting it up on the hoist. So you check their feet, you check their teeth. Now horses usually get their teeth filed back every fortnight, something like that. But you would be surprised at how many horses arrive at the stables that have not had their teeth done, and which makes their eating a bit difficult and also makes them hard to steer, especially if they pull a bit. So all those things. So worm drenches, if they're harbouring any worms, you give them a left field worm drench, so something not generic that hasn't been used before. I have seen the odd tapeworm fly out of a horse in the past. So there's all sorts of things that you can go through to look at with these second-hand horses. And I don't know whether it's human nature or what it is, but Sometimes these horses, they just get stuck in these stables, and they get missed on a few occasions. And yeah, so if you do your due diligence, you can get some improvement from a few different areas. But probably with feet, it's easier to cut it off than grow it. So if there's feet issues that, if they've got shallow feet, no walls, they've been knocked around a bit by plates on, plates off, and etc., that can be an issue. But time fixes everything. So if you've got a horse that you buy secondhand and it's out of form, just get it back to 100% health, take all the excuses away from it, and away you go.
That's it. If you are interested in getting involved, there are shares available, I think, at this stage. Jono, Jono, at themailbag.com.au. Butch, there was a really good read in The Straight, written by Matt Stewart, who's back, and the man can write. It was a very nice read about yourself, but particularly your son, Will Bourne, who is the head of Bloodstock at Kiramar Racing. What was it like being interviewed by Matt Stewart? We'll start there.
Matty Stewart, no, I've known Matt for a long time. No, he's, I don't know, I think he's a better rider than he is a punter. I think he struggles at the punt sometimes, but anyway, he's not meant to be there making money on the punt. But no, good fellow, Matt, good fellow. I've been out to dinner with him a few times since horse sales and that, and he's a good fellow. He did a good job with the article. And I, especially when my wife read it and she gave it the tick, so it must have been good. But it was good. It was good, and the focus is on Will because he's done such a great job in that role that he's been in, and he's probably, he'd be fair to say he's done a few groundbreaking things in the industry, things that I probably wouldn't have even thought of myself, but. They've been very aggressive in the domestic market. I mean, his job is to supply good horses to Kieran, and to buy horses like Bella Nipotina and Hitotsu out of other stables, aggressively, has paid off because back in the day when you were a good horse trader, the good horse trader used to pinch horses off people. Very aggressive in trying to get owners to give them. Well, there was no pinching horses. They've just gone out and bought.
You got any good stories from back in the day about someone pinching a horse?
Some great stories back in the day.
Give me one.
Give you one.
Bart did it a bit.
Bart and Tommy, apparently Bart and Tommy had no hesitation in sort of, halving the training fees and, like they're doing a deal. But I'm talking like really serious horses,
Mm.
If you had a group horse, they would aggressively attack, wine and dine the owners. I don't know. It's so there's no problem with people asking the question. It's how you answer it, I suppose. So there's nothing wrong with asking people about if they want to switch horses to a different stable. But it's probably I reckon the landscape in that's changed a fair bit, especially with digital. It's just there's so much horse movement. I mean, you've just spoken about two horses, Pesto and the Genius. There doesn't need to be a change of stable, as in owners taking up. They move them on. So it's changed. It's which is today's modern racing is about probably more of the now, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
In the article, it spoke about like you as a dad and your strategy with your son, which I think is fascinating as a father. I find it hard to believe, like 100%, that you really were hands off ish, but the quote might be, "I farmed him out as much as possible to give him a good grounding in as many possible facets of their industry as possible to give him the best opportunity possible."
Yeah, look, I picked up on that early on. When he was about 10, I said, "Let's go out and kick 100 on the left foot and 100 on the right," and he said, "Why would you do that for?" So I worked out pretty quickly that that wasn't going to work. Once you realise that your parents probably aren't the smartest people on the planet Earth, because every child, unfortunately, you go through this. They love you to death and they idolise you, and then they go completely 360 and think that you're not the sharpest tool in the shed. So rather than me trying to fight that transition of a growing human, I just thought it was easier to for him to work everywhere else, so that when he was getting told what to do, he'd listen. And not that he wouldn't have listened to me, but probably take it on board more so, that this is how you're supposed to do it. So and to his credit, he actually wanted to learn how to ride track work, and so I 3 children, never forced him into that sort of side of the things. Always thought there was a better life out there than getting up at 4 o'clock every morning, so was quite happy not to promote it. But he wanted to ride track work. Very good friends of ours, Pat and Jackie. They got warm bloods. He went down there off his own bat, learned how to ride, came back here to the stable and started riding track work. And once he got up to galloping horses, that was enough. That was sort of satisfied him, and he knew then the feel of a horse and actions, what it meant, and the difference between riding a good one and a bad one, how they feel. So he got that done, which was great, and it's just another part of the in your tool kit that you need when you're assessing horses. So it just gives you, I think I don't subscribe. A lot of trainers that ride track work say they have an advantage, but most of our good trainers don't ride track work, so I don't subscribe to that myself. But it's certainly it's a good thing to have, to know what a horse feels like underneath you. So he did that off his bat. So farmed him out, gave him to everyone else, and then he he followed me around to the sales, and then used to go with the Magic Millions guys. It's all about assessing yearlings and things like that. So he's got all of that and taken it to a whole new level.
Someone's listening, they're young and they're interested in the sport. What would be 2 or 3 of the best places you think he went to get a good grounding in the game that helps him today?
So he did a yearling preparation at Yarraman, where they didn't have I'm Invincible at that stage, but Yarraman had a really good draft every year. They used to do Sheikh Hamdan's horses, and the Mitchell brothers, Harry, Bill, Arthur, terrific family, really nice people, and they were good to him. So the idea was that he went there when they came into the stable for the year, and until they walked through the ring at Easter to be sold. And so he did a whole yearling prep there to know what's required. And I didn't tell him what he was supposed to be learning, but I would ask him about horses' temperaments. And I think all that does is meant to trigger their thinking as, does that make it a good horse? Does that make it a bad horse? What does temperament mean? So, it's all that process of, there's so many things to think of when you're trying to buy a horse, whether it be a yearling or a racehorse, you just delve into personalities, breeding. So it's all that part of it. But the Mitchells are good. But I tell you one thing, the one thing that Harry did teach him is, by God, he taught him how to swear. He came up, his first night at the dinner table, and his mother nearly fell off the chair. My God. Harry's pretty good at it. I'm pretty sure Harry would admit to it as well. But they're great people, but they're soul of the earth, on the land, and you just got to remember where you are sometimes, don't you?
What would one of the other places he's gone that you think really made a big difference?
Good friends, Brees and Chloe Smith, Killarney Park. He went up there, and used to drive him home might have driven Johnny home from the pub when he was about 16, because they were all probably full as a state school. And I think he crashed the bloody ute into the fence post a few times and did all those good things you do when you're on a farm growing up and learning. But they had a young family, and he was fantastic with their kids as well. He's got a very good nature to him with humans. He's sort of he's great with kids and older people, so he's very respectful that way. I'm sure his mother will be happy with that. But yeah, they were good people, and Reese has stayed a bit of a mentor to him. I'm pretty sure he speaks to Reese on a regular basis, just bouncing things off him. And Reese is a very smart man, so very happy to have him. So he's got, Andy Mackey was his boss at Darley. All these people help to shape you. You know, it's like working for horse trainers. You can learn what to do, and you can also learn not what to do.
Yeah.
You learn the good and the bad, and that's called experience. So he's had a fair bit of that now. So, and at the end of the day, you've got to make your own way, and that's what he's doing.
All right, beautiful. Barry Hall, boxing. Change it to big pivot. Geez, it was hard to watch this morning.
Yeah, I was nearly going to go back and start training. Actually, what's he? 47? Is he 40?
I don't
47?
know, but he put the fear of God into like every player in the AFL for 10 to 15 years, and now he doesn't have that going on for him in the boxing game, Butch.
Yeah, well, I think his window might have closed. I mean, what was the guy he fought? 20 something?
Yeah, he's like a wild child ex rugby league player. Couldn't cut it discipline wise in the rugby league, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I can't say that he. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a small clip of it, but yeah, I don't know.
It only goes for 90 seconds the whole fight.
He went down a bit easy. Yeah, do you follow the fights, Jono?
No, no, I didn't know who you were talking about. I thought you were talking about a boxer, and I've looked him up. He's a AFL player. So there you
He's
go.
a Swans premiership captain. That's what he is. And
Oh, he
he's
looks
Oh,
like a big, he looks like
yeah.
a big boy.
Great segue. The Swans. Now we're on Jack. We're on a losing streak. What's going on? Two in a row.
It's like a mid-race slowdown, you know?
Answer this. Is this a yes or a no question? Have the Swans shit the bed?
No, you can't. It's not possible to shit the bed in the early part of July when you're two games
Sure.
clear on top of the ladder.
Oh, well, what are you going to roll out? They're doing some heavy loading in training or something. Is that it? They're just running out of legs at the end of the game.
It's just kind of like a horse, like a thoroughbred, which they are, thoroughbreds. They're like 17 lengths clear down the back at Sandown. What the fuck's going on? Where is everyone? Am I still in a race? That's sort of what's happening to them. Very frustrating loss on Sunday afternoon. Got the rub of the green too of the umpires, I thought, when I was there, which is rare for us.
Saw the game. Saw the game. Don't mention the umpires. Um,
Oh,
you're
we're
lucky.
not allowed to mention them, are we? We
You're
had a
lucky. You're
15 minutes on them
lucky.
last week.
You're lucky you didn't take your kids and subject them to it.
No, I did.
Even better.
I've taken the kids to two games this year, Richmond and St Kilda.
Rob, where's Hawthorn, Rob?
They're back. They're
Still,
back in reality. That's where they are.
still about the fourth best team in the league. Anyway, we're going to play every top 8 side, and we're going to beat half of them. You heard it here first. It's good team. Essendon probably better than us. Geelong probably better than us. But losing at that Geelong ground, it's just it's a bullshit ground.
Matthew Lloyd let a little thing slip about your coach Butch and Rob. Apparently he's just around talking to every player possible to try and get them there next year and the year after. Bit of the
Yeah,
Kieran Will Bournes about him, He's just out there
yeah,
trying to get the best possible stock into the joint as they recharge the batteries. But a little bit of lead left the pencil when
well,
they went down to the Cattery, didn't it?
I heard today, hot off the press, Jack, was that your assistant coach at the Swans has got the gig at West Coast, Coxie, and he's taken number one with him.
This is not nice. It's obviously a setback if that's true.
Yeah,
Um, but Yeah, Big Dean, he looks. Yeah, look, he's not going to stop us. And Chad's playing next year, so we'll worry about that later on. I
Yeah,
don't know if you're
he's
just making
playing
that up
in
to razz me up on the show live or not.
he's playing in
It's
different
been a
colours.
very rough week for Swans fans. I mean, blokes are getting a week and potentially losing Brownlow medals for pushing off a bloke, giving him a blood nose. I mean, what have we come to?
It actually looked very similar to when a boxer sort of gives a bloke a whack and then just holds him and just lets him so his head doesn't hit the ground.
Yeah,
It was that motion, like he whacked him and then just eased him to the ground, and then he just took off to mark the ball.
kicked a
So
great goal too.
very calculating, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't know. I thought he got off light. He's broken the bloke's nose. Um, did anyone pick up on the fact that guy that he hit? That was the guy that took Chai Simpkin out um,
Oh no,
in the practice match. Yeah,
back to your karma theory, huh?
back to my karma theory. Yeah, a bit like your man Tommy Papley missing. He's missed some of the easiest shots on goal, and there's only one reason that happened is that he throws the water bottle on the ground instead of handing it back to the poor girl that's giving him the drink in the first place.
9 score involvements. T Papley again. One of the better contributors for the Swans on Sunday.
Yeah, 5 for the
Um,
Swans.
your other teams, the Bombers. Um, Fly McRae didn't realise that Zach Merritt was in a good footballer last weekend. It'll be a different story. Neil Bullen will be on him like white on rice on Saturday night, I reckon.
Yeah,
Are the Bombers like away, or are they going to go? Oh, that's right, we are Essendon.
I think Essendon's greatest problem at the moment is is selection. You know, they had a good balanced side on the other night. Yet they rested Dyson Heppel. You know, what do you do? Do you bring him back in? Who do you put out? I mean, it's you know, but anyway, they'll great problems to have, but they'll do that. Poor old Melbourne, feel sorry for them. Brayshaw retired at the start of the year. They lost Petrarca, to a car crash, a few weeks ago, and now Maxi Gawn's in a moon boot. So I think Spargo's out for the season. He's done an Achilles. They're having a bad trot, Melbourne. They're losing them left, right, and centre. And in all fairness, that's probably Collingwood's problem. They've been cruelled by injury too.
Yeah, and also Zach Merritt's playing as good a football as anyone in the comp, and they let him run around willy nilly all night, and he killed him.
Depends who you're backed in the Brownlow. Yeah.
Now I understand your Heaney take. All right. Where else should we go? We didn't have anything to talk about. It's going to be one of the longest shows we've ever done.
No, what about, hey, what about this morning? Don't worry about the Warner Cox story. What about Trump is challenged Biden to a game of golf? He obviously listens to the podcast.
He's giving him 10 aside, and then he had to say, that's 20 total for those who aren't golfers. What's your take, Rob, right now?
Is Biden really challenged Trump to golf?
No, Trump's challenged Biden. He's giving him 10 shots a hole, 10 shots per 9, like each side, 20 shots overall. If Biden beats him with a 20-shot start, he'll donate $1 million to the charity of Joe's choice.
Oh, it sounds like good publicity. Sounds like Donald Trump. Trump knows he's got him because Biden, he looks like he needs one of those Zephyr frames. He's Joe won't do anything. The U.S. politics. I think a lot of people are waking up to the fact that that he has been like this for a long time, and the media has sort of lied to him about it for a long time as well. That he was fine, he was sharp. When he's actually not, but he's pressing on for the nomination. I think Trump said something interesting about he's got to hand it to Joe that he had Kamala Harris as his vice, as she's a terrible horse to take over for him. So I guess it is all going to go with Joe all the way over the cliff.
Unbelievable stuff. That's US politics. We called it. They're going to play golf, hopefully. The Caulfield track, let's finish with that, and then we'll touch on Kerguelen. But the Caulfield track, Butch, is this a symptom and something that needs to be addressed? And it is a worry for the industry. This is my opinion, that as they've moved the schedule around, it's changed the way that these tracks, the big tracks, can be managed and renovated and repaired. And is it a genuine problem long term? And in your experience in the industry, particularly Victoria, do you think they'll address it?
Well, this is the problem where you got disconnect between Racing Victoria and then the individual clubs. So how much say Racing Victoria have in that, I don't know, but it's been a long-going problem at Caulfield, and I can tell you now, there's nothing worse. Say you and I sit down and we program a horse, and you say to me that race Saturday week benchmark 1400, that's our race, and we get there and we've got an on rails leader and they're swooping. We've got a swooper and they're leading on rails. It's just, racing's not meant to be like that, especially at that level. You can understand it if it was, volunteers from a far out bush track somewhere, but no. You gotta be able to win it from the front or from the back. They've just got to be. They've got to be better. And they live. I don't know. Do they live in their own bubble? They don't. They can't see. Surely there's got to be a governing body that taps them on the shoulder.
Well, it appears to me that the change, the pushback in the schedule, the programming to the later races, like the 1,000 Guineas being later in the spring, has affected their ability to prepare the track, to freshen the track, to renovate the track, to race to a level which wasn't a great level as it was, to be honest. And the effect of that is that it's gotten worse. So the solution is only to change the programming back again, because it appears they don't have the facility or the ability to make that track raceable for participants. Now, for punters, I think it's fine, because the more bias, the better, to be honest. But predictable bias is a much preferred thing as a punter than, say, what Caulfield is at the moment. But it appears to me that there is no solution, and that track's in shambles because of the programming. Yeah,
and that's. And that's where I feel more sorry for the actual participants, because as a punter you can make your adjustments, whereas we got to take our medicine.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the guys who'll be working on the track, because their hands are tied.
Yeah,
by the scheduling changes.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a concern. It's a genuine concern for the industry, because, like Butcher said, that track, particularly Caulfield, will race stallion making races. It'll have races where brood mares are made and broken, and it's very, very important. We'll finish with Kerguelen. It pissed in again at Warwick Farm after dominating at Kembla. Rob, you were there. Give us the report on the type of horse it is. Obviously, it's not Bible, but what do you think of it?
Well, average plus was my comment. It walked around, pretty much perfect. Annoyed to see it was favourite, and then I tried to get fancy with the betting. It won really well. We all saw that. It's got a sprint on a wet track. How much does that mean? I'm not sure. Good attitude. I wouldn't quite call it a decent type, but better. It looks like a Saturday horse to me.
Just on that, Rob, I see it's out of a helmet there.
Yep.
They could be big, raw, rangy type to horses too, couldn't they?
Yeah, big fellow with the big white blaze down into the chestnut, who remembers the battle with the Ron Lehman horse in the Caulfield Guineas stallion making race back in the day. They say the helmets can be a bit high temperamental and kind of highly strung. Nothing about this horse said that to me. Behaved beautifully in the yard, not as well. Yeah. So I think will it go past? I think Bush, you think it's going to be like a benchmark 100 plus kind of horse. I'd say below that. I'm going to say it's going to go to 85 to 100. You do a little side wager. We reckon to get over 100 benchmark horse, but which you don't have to do.
I don't know, but if you can get him up to an 84, we can get him to Hong Kong for decent money.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he needs to cash that bloke. Be racing for the pleasure of his majesty.
Yeah, never know though. Butcher's son Will bought a horse off the fucking king. So.
Oh no! You want to bring this up? What happened to me last Saturday in the freaking highway? Full credit. Paps had the good thing. Number one and number two, really short in his market. I found him in the yard. Did my job. Spotted the 10, and it's got me on the line. It's by Dubabwi. Had a sweet idea for Masara, and
in the highway.
Clear thinking is the name. Tanglewood got beat. Your one.
He went past me. Tanglewood took $11 like it was home, and the only thing that looked like I could see chasing it was the number 2 at 25. So he couldn't miss. But of course, the great game to have that horse running against those battler horses, and of course I'm on the wrong side of it. Anyway, standard.
Before we finish, I've missed Sharla's on the rundown. Rob, you want to talk about Sharla? Why was that?
Sharla.
It's just there's just horses I seem to find in the yard a bit, which I haven't had all that much luck with. Yesterday there was another example where we had one short in our market. It's only a 3-starter. And yeah, I loved it from the yard. And then to see that, we've got it priced $1.50, $1.60, whatever it was. And yeah, just got the brakes, got a bit scared just because of that stallion. We did a bit of talking off air about it. It seems like it's, it did attract really good money, but that's sort of the heat's coming off it.
Rob, Butch, what's your read on Charlotte? It's obviously like he's not a cheap horse. You look at the average price of him at sales; it's north of 150K.
Yeah, he started off with the hiss and the roar. They were very powerful back end horses, so they looked running horses. But Arrowfield moved him on, so they obviously got to a point where they didn't think he was commercial enough for them, which doesn't always mean, there's been plenty of relocated stallions that go good, Seamus Award and Rubik and those horses. But just for their model, they moved him on. They look like they'll run. They all seem to run. They all seem to win a race. Just my question is how many of them go on. That would be my query on them. So they look fast. A lot of them are fast, but for how far and how long into a campaign would be my query.
It's a big weekend for Charlotte Butch. You got Recommendation going up against Mornington Glory, both by the Stallion, both in the good race. Can't remember what it's called at Caulfield, 1100 metre sprint.
Sir John Monash.
Sir John Monash. Yeah.
Snap.
Feel sick about saying that. They're one of the great Australians of all time. He met Ned Kelly when he was a kid.
Sir John.
John.
I think we did a preview show and you did a whole history lesson on him from memory. I remember the name.
I love him, and I think all Australians should be well aware of our war history, and he was pivotal in World War One. He executed the evacuation of Anzac Cove. He was like the brain behind breaking the German lines on the Western Front and sort of bringing to an end World War One, essentially. He was an Australian. His name was Sir John Monash. But I didn't know this race was no doubt.
Yes, you did. You just didn't know it was this week.
Yeah, I just know that Recommendations are going up against Morning Glory in it. Big weekend for Sharla. I reckon that'll do us for Just a Walk. Thanks, episode 9. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to race Pesto or the Genius with us, Jono, Jono, at themailbag.com.au. Maurice Philly with the Haze. An Alabama Express filly with Kieran. A Seamus Award filly with Gavin Bedgegood. Jono, Jono, at themailbag.com.au. Have a phenomenal weekend. Bye for now.